Welcome back to the Real AF TV podcast, show about fishing and random takes from the land of 10,000 lakes. I totally forgot to say, how's it going? But I don't always do that. So, anyways, here we are in a random take. If I split these out and you're seeing this one, it's just me. Well, maybe. Tim, are you there?
In a cornfield of all places.
Whoa, that is weird. How are you recording in a cornfield? Like, can you describe what's going on around you?
Just a lot of blood and condoms.
Whoa. I am totally making Tim say that. It is just me. Tim is out sick. His voice is gone and other things like that from what I understand. So, yeah, he's just not able to hop on the mic today. So it's just me keeping up our never missing every other week situation. He had to call in sick last minute. It was very last minute. So, I've managed to put together a podcast here for you guys and get that out. The second part of the podcast here, the random take that I'm going to go off on, has got to be video games. Because if I'm going to talk about something random, it's going to be video games. It's just like it's my main hobby. I mean, I'm a tech guy, and it is just sort of the thing that got me into tech. And I've been on the podcast I've put it out on the podcast before. I don't care for the financial contributions that nostalgia leads to in the remake market or in the reissue market, more in the reissue market. So what I'm really trying to say is, like, we've talked about movies and like what's old is new again and what's old is just being remade. Like, I think a lot of movies have gone stale and stagnant, and they've just kind of rehashed old shit, and it's not for the better. I would rather see some original creativity pumped up than fucking third remake of RoboCop, you know? So I thought to myself about what could I talk about and engage with you, the Real AF TV audience, on. And I am making an assumption here, because the analytics aren't great, that you're somewhere in, your late 20s to mid 40s, and that you grew up with video games, and that you grew up with video games in your house. And the reason, and if you didn't grow up with them in your house specifically, you knew somebody, they were in your life. It was something that you did as a kid, and maybe you continue to do now, like me and Tim do. But the point here is nostalgic video games, and how that affects the way that I purchase my games and other things like that. So I buy nostalgic video games. Right now, there is a large amount of video games that are being remade, remastered, things like that. That there's even weird verbiage around remade, remastered, and shit like that. That just makes it hard to even know, because there's games that are just like exact fucking remakes. No, they're like 1-to-1. There's like a PS5 game that's a 1-to-1 PlayStation game. They just made the graphics better. And it's like, Now, is that a good thing? I have an opinion on that, but I want to hear yours. Because the answer is no. You please chime in the comments. But the point, again, I'm saying that a fucking lot. I'm sorry. So where this is all going is that has been a bit of a nostalgia bug from me currently to go back and play PS2 games. And it's actually really mostly one, because off-road games right now are kick-ass graphically. I'm sure the physics are nuts, but I was absolutely great at ATV Off-Road Fury and Off-Road Fury 2 on PlayStation 2. And I had so much fun. When it went online, I had a blast. I got good at it, and it had physics, but it was like arcade physics, and it was great fun. It wasn't like rock climbing, suspension level, like individual independent suspensions on your side by side, kind of like realistic level. And it wasn't over the top arcadey, gone too far, sort of like the Crew video games, as I would call. I would say that the Crew's gone just a step too far into arcade. This was more, ATV Off-Road Fury was just like kind of more. It was like Mario Kart mixed with a level of reality that you felt this was believable, and that has sort of been popping up because of the Metal Gear Solid release. So the Metal Gear Solid Volume 1 Master Collection, or whatever the fucking weird name that they gave it, came out. And so basically on modern consoles and PC, you can get like all the old Nintendo game, all the old Metal Gear Nintendo games. And then you can get Metal Gear Solid from PlayStation, absolute classic. Metal Gear Solid 2 from PlayStation 2, absolute classic. Metal Gear 3, and again, they basically packed these up and sent them out all in a package. And those are some of my favorite games of all time. But I have no desire to play any of them except for Metal Gear Solid 1 currently, because I have so many new games that I want to play that I just don't feel like I need to go back to these old games. But there's something about ATV Off-Road Fury that just like popped back into my brain thinking about PS2 games when thinking about Metal Gear Solid, that was like, fuck man, that was good. That was a good game. And I want to just get back into it. Like, I just want to pull up my PlayStation and fucking play that game again and see if I'm still good at it, but also see if it has the ability to hold up against modern gaming, modern racing and stuff like that. But I do have to admit, I love to see this Metal Gear Solid collection come out, because it is hard to play these games. I want to play Metal Gear Solid original again. And it's hard because I have the disc and I have PlayStation. Like, I have the disc and I have a physical original PlayStation. But the idea of digging all that out and hooking it up, and would it even work on my HD TV? My new flat screen. New, it's not new, it's old as fuck. But the TV that I have, would it even work on that? Because that is a modern TV. That thing's like, I don't know, less than 12 years old or whatever the fuck. I don't really know how old the TV is, but it's after the CRT had died, basically, right? It's not a CRT, it is a flat screen. But the point of all of that is, could I even hook up my old shit and make it work? So the answer is likely no. And that's why the new sort of re-release shit is cool. But it does make me want to play Metal Gear again. And I've just been listening to a lot of podcasts and stuff like that are saying, the gameplay may not be the greatest, but if you remember the gameplay, if you remember how to play that game, and you will, if you did play it back then, it'll come back to you. The game holds up because the cinematics and the story, and it basically, to me, says Hideo's a fucking genius and his game holds up. You should play it again. And I have one of those mini PlayStations and I'm going, yeah, fuck yeah, I want to play that again. Hey, Real AF TV community, hit us up in the comments. You want to watch me play that live? I can make that happen. I would play all of Metal Gear Solid 1 live again. If that's something you would do, play it on Twitch or YouTube. I do it on YouTube. We're trying to stick to the YouTube channel for what we're doing. For our video feeds, we're trying to stick with YouTube. Nothing against Twitch. Nothing at all. But we're more of an edited, like we want to do our podcast live to tape, and then we want to do our shows and our shorts and stuff like that. We want to put a little bit more effort into those and put a edit behind them, right? It's not that I don't edit the podcast, but the point still stands. This would be a live stream situation, so it would go under our live stream part of our YouTube channel. This could definitely be two parts to the YouTube channel, where we would have, like, not even two parts, but it would be an additional one. We've already done a live stream on YouTube, and I think that we could do it again. And even if this is gaming and it's not a fishing game or not an outdoor game or something to that effect, I think if you, the community, are willing to support that, come watch me play Metal Gear Solid 1, like I should say Metal Gear Solid, original Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation version. And let's talk fishing and shit like that. Now, I'm not the fisher in the group, like that's Tim, but doesn't mean that Tim can't join. Doesn't mean that I can't take your answers and hit up Tim while we're live on the air, or come back to him later, right? It could be fun, but that's not why I picked this topic. I got off there a little bit too far. I just wanted to say that this was me talking about ancient fish and ancient video games in a way. And ancient video games are PS1 games now. I mean, these games have this look to them that looks and feels ancient. And they're bringing them back for that reason. And I just don't necessarily agree with that technique exactly. I think they did a great job on Resident Evil 2 on bringing that into the modern era, because that had those fixed camera angles and shit, and that kind of sucked. But here we are with Metal Gear Solid, and they're basically just re-releasing these video games, and they're good. They're still holding up. Like they're fine, other than they look fucking ancient, like I already mentioned. So it's weird. It's kind of there's kind of a duality about it. But I have this thing about Mario 3 right now too, where it's like I should play a little bit more Mario 3 again, because Mario Wonder just came out, and me and Tim are going to talk about Mario Wonder here on the next podcast. But Mario Wonder just came out, and it has, for me, I'm making this sort of connection where what Mario 3 did for me, Mario Wonder is kind of doing again. But now I'm wondering, since I have a kid, And I did the math, and I'm like, oh shit, Mario Wonder's hitting for her kind of how Mario 3 hit for me, and I love Mario 3. I have, these nostalgia goggles for the frog suit and the fucking shit. Why the hell are you dressed like a panda? No, it's not what it is. But like that Toon suit, I think it's called. But basically when he gets the raccoon tail, when Mario has the raccoon tail and the ears on his hat, or the full suit, I have these, the nostalgia for that and the wonder that brought back then. So to hear, to have Mario Wonder coming out now, makes me sort of think back to that time and go, I wonder if this is going to hit for her the way Mario 3 did for me and stuff like that. And I wanted to not reach out, but I wanted to just present that here as I wrap up to the Real AF TV fans and say, like, yeah, let me know in the comments what you think about, if you're playing video games right now, or if you're out there playing the new Mario and you're old enough to remember Mario 3, is like, what do you think about, this Mario 3? And if you got kids, especially, like, what do you think Mario Wonder is doing for them and stuff like that? Because we're going to talk about it. And so, like, your questions about Mario or your comments and stuff like that, they could easily make it into the next podcast, because it is a shorter topic, because it's just a 2D Mario game. And we'll get into that in the next, episode or two. But I'm just having these weird thoughts about, like, how, again, to make the through line here of ancient video games, of like how ancient video games are influenced the new generation of video games and stuff like that. Because you got your Final Fantasy VII remakes, and again, back to Metal Gear Solid Delta. They're basically remaking Metal Gear Solid 3 with new graphics, but Final Fantasy VII is like a complete reimagining of the game that just is like keeping the core, like a lot of the core components, and it makes me think, wow, this got me with nostalgia. Did Mario Wonder get me with nostalgia because I thought I was buying a new game, but maybe it's just giving me Mario 3 vibes? Like, it's weird. It's a weird thing to think about, and I want to hear your thoughts on it. And then if you do leave a comment or something like that, me and Tim are more than likely going to bring it up in the podcast. But I don't think that there is a ton there, but I hope that you understand where my thought process is going, and that it sparks some thoughts in your head, and that you come back and join in the conversation in the comments, or go to realaf.tv/contact and join there too. Because I'm all by myself here. I got nobody to bounce ideas off. Tim will be back in 2 weeks, though. You best believe that. He's already feeling better, but he just had to cancel last minute. It wasn't feeling like it would have been the right thing to do. So as I record this, he's probably getting his rest, and that's good. So anything else? Oh yeah, like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Come on, you know how it works already. If you're listening to a podcast, you know how this works, or you have a good idea. It's those likes, those subscribes, those reviews, everything like that. They bump us up. They help get the views up, and that leads to different things in different ways. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to sign off for this episode. I'm going to leave Tim with the last word.
It's nice. It's a good titty.